Have you ever walked away from the bathroom only to feel that sudden trickle you thought was finished? It catches you by surprise, leaves a mark on your clothes, and leaves you with a quiet sense of shame. Many men over 60 know this experience all too well, yet few talk about it openly. What if I told you this is not simply part of aging, and that small natural adjustments could change the story? In today's video, Dr. Michael, chairman of urology at Lenox Hill Hospital, will reveal 6 daily habits that help calm your bladder, restore confidence, and improve quality of life without rushing into surgery or costly medications. Stay with me until the very end, because the final habit is one most men have never heard of, and it may surprise you with how simple it is. Now that we have opened the door, let us first understand what really happens to your bladder and prostate as the years go by. Understanding the bladder and prostate. After 60. When most men reach their 60s, the body begins to send quiet signals that things are changing. The bladder that once held steady through long meetings or car rides may now feel urgent after just a short time. The stream that once flowed freely may slow down, split, or pause. To understand why, we need to look closely at 2 key players in a man's body: the bladder and the prostate. The bladder is a muscular sac designed to store urine until it is convenient to release it. In a healthy young man, this organ stretches easily and contracts strongly. The prostate, on the other hand, is a walnut-sized gland sitting just below the bladder, wrapped around the urethra, the small tube that carries urine out of the body. Its job is to support reproduction by producing fluid that nourishes and protects sperm. As men age, research from institutions like the Mayo Clinic and the National Institutes of Health confirms that the prostate naturally grows. This process, called benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, is not cancer, but it can place pressure on the urethra. Imagine stepping on a garden hose. The flow of water weakens and sputters. In the same way, a growing prostate squeezes the urethra, making it harder for urine to pass smoothly. The bladder responds by working harder, contracting more forcefully, and signaling more urgently. Over years, this can lead to dribbling, frequent trips to the bathroom, and the feeling of never being completely empty. It is important to realize that these changes are not a sign of weakness or personal failure. They are part of a natural process tied to hormones, genetics, and the simple passage of time. Yet, lifestyle factors such as diet, exercise, and daily habits can accelerate or slow down how strongly these symptoms appear. For example, men who remain active, maintain a healthy weight, and manage what they drink often report fewer problems than those who live a sedentary life with high sugar and alcohol intake. The bladder itself also becomes more sensitive with age. The muscle walls may stiffen slightly, meaning the bladder cannot expand as much as before. This reduced flexibility makes even small amounts of urine feel urgent. Combined with the narrowing effect of an enlarged prostate, the result can be frustrating. Weak stream, sudden urges, and leakage afterward. Understanding this anatomy helps to replace fear with clarity. Knowing that the bladder is simply a muscle and the prostate a gland that follows predictable patterns allows men to see that they still hold influence. Just as you would not blame yourself for needing reading glasses after 60, you should not see bladder changes as shameful. They are signals, reminders that the body needs care and adjustment. What matters most is how you respond. By making small, intentional changes, strengthening the pelvic floor, adjusting hydration, eating wisely, and moving daily, you can help your bladder and prostate work more smoothly together. Instead of rushing into surgery or living in silence, you can take gentle steps that bring relief and confidence. Now that we have laid the foundation, let us look at the common mistakes many men make when facing these symptoms, and why those mistakes often make things worse before they get better. Common mistakes men make. When the first signs of bladder or prostate trouble appear, most men try to brush them aside. A little dribble, a slower stream, 1 or 2 extra trips to the bathroom. These seem like minor inconveniences at first, but over time the symptoms grow, and the way a man reacts can shape whether the problem becomes manageable or overwhelming. Sadly, many men fall into the same traps, often making things worse before they get better. Mistake 1. Depending only on pills or surgery. Modern medicine has remarkable tools, from medications that relax the muscles of the prostate to surgical procedures that can remove blockages. Yet too often, men believe these are the only answers. They skip over natural strategies, convinced that only a prescription or an operation will bring relief. The truth is, as Dr. Michael explains, these medical options do have their place, especially in severe cases, but they come with side effects and long-term consequences. Relying only on them ignores the power of daily habits, which are safer, cheaper, and often surprisingly effective. Mistake 2. Drinking less water to pee less. It seems logical. If frequent urination is the problem, why not cut back on fluids? But this backfires. When the body does not get enough water, the urine becomes concentrated and irritating to the bladder lining. This actually triggers more urgency, not less. Dehydration also affects the kidneys, the skin, and even blood pressure. Instead of avoiding water, men need to drink it more wisely. Timing and moderation matter far more than outright restriction. Mistake 3. Ignoring the pelvic floor. Most men have never heard of their pelvic floor muscles, let alone thought about training them. These deep muscles support the bladder, prostate, and bowels, and they play a direct role in controlling urine flow. Ignoring them is like ignoring the foundation of a house. Over years of sitting, driving, or carrying tension in the lower body, these muscles weaken or grow stiff. Without exercise or stretching, the bladder cannot empty completely, and leakage becomes more common. Yet, with consistent training, even older men can strengthen these muscles and regain control. Mistake 4. Underestimating the role of diet and stimulants. A man's bladder is deeply influenced by what he eats and drinks. Sugar, processed foods, caffeine, and alcohol all contribute to irritation and inflammation, making the bladder more reactive. Many men overlook this, thinking a cup of coffee or a sugary soda is harmless. But small choices, repeated daily, accumulate into real discomfort. Research has shown that reducing sugar and processed foods while adding vegetables and whole grains can make a measurable difference in urinary symptoms. Mistake 5. Suffering in silence. Suffering. Perhaps the most damaging mistake is pretending nothing is wrong. Out of embarrassment, pride, or fear, many men avoid talking about their symptoms. They keep quiet around family, they hesitate to bring it up with a doctor, and they tell themselves it is simply part of aging. This silence isolates them, robs them of solutions, and prolongs suffering. The truth is that millions of men face these issues, and there is no shame in seeking help. The earlier you act, the more options you have. Each of these mistakes shares one thing in common. They come from misunderstanding. When you understand how your bladder and prostate truly work, you see that control and relief are not out of reach. Pills and procedures may help in some cases, but the real strength lies in prevention, self-care, and small daily changes. Now that we have explored the mistakes to avoid, let us move forward into the heart of this message, the 6 natural habits that can help reduce leakage, improve flow, and restore confidence after 60. 6 natural habits to improve bladder control and prostate health. Habit 1. Double void, emptying the bladder more completely. Many men assume that once the flow of urine stops, the bladder is empty. In reality, especially after 60, it often is not. Leftover urine becomes the silent cause of dribbling, repeated urges, and even infections. This is where the practice of double voiding can make a real difference. Double voiding is simple. Instead of finishing once and walking away, you give your bladder a second chance. First, urinate as usual, then pause for 20 to 30 seconds, take a slow breath, and relax. After that short break, try again. Often another stream appears, sometimes only a little, sometimes surprisingly more. That second round is what prevents the bladder from staying half full. The reason it works is straightforward. The bladder is a muscle, and when the urethra is narrowed by an enlarged prostate, the muscle cannot always push everything out in one effort. A brief pause allows it to recover and contract again more effectively. Studies from the National Institutes of Health show that men who practice double voiding experience less dribbling, fewer sudden urges, and a greater sense of control. The technique works best when you sit down because sitting naturally relaxes the pelvic floor. Leaning slightly forward or backward can also help release the last drops. With practice, this becomes a natural rhythm, not a chore. Consider the experience of Robert, a 68-year-old retiree. He once rushed through every bathroom trip and paid the price with constant leakage. After learning double voiding, his nighttime visits dropped from 5 to 3, and his confidence returned. "It feels like I have control again," he said, without taking a single pill. This small adjustment requires no medication, no expense, only patience. By emptying more fully each time, you give your bladder more rest between urges and reduce the embarrassment of leaks. It is proof that sometimes the simplest changes carry the greatest impact. And once you master this, the next step is to strengthen the very muscles that guard your bladder, the pelvic floor. That is where habit 2 begins. Habit 2, pelvic floor training. When John turned 70, he noticed something frustrating. He could stop a heavy box from falling in his garage, but he could not stop a few drops of urine from leaking when he laughed or sneezed. His strength in every part of his body seemed fine, except where he needed it most. That is when he learned about the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is a hidden layer of muscles stretching like a hammock at the base of the pelvis. These muscles support the bladder, prostate, and bowels, and they act like a valve that controls urine flow. When they weaken, leakage and urgency follow. Yet, like any other muscle in the body, they can be trained and strengthened. Kegel exercises, once thought of as only for women, are just as important for men. Research from the Mayo Clinic shows that targeted pelvic floor training reduces urine leakage, improves bladder control, and even supports sexual health. For men after 60, this training is not about building bulk, but about reawakening muscles that have been ignored for decades. The practice is simple. The first step is to find the right muscle. Next time you urinate, try stopping the flow halfway. The muscles you feel working are your pelvic floor. Once you know where they are, practice tightening them when you are not in the bathroom. Imagine gently pulling those muscles upward and inward, holding for 3 to 5 seconds, then releasing slowly. Rest for a few seconds, then repeat. A beginner might aim for 10 repetitions 3 times a day. Over time, you can hold longer, up to 10 seconds, and gradually increase the number of sets. The beauty of this habit is privacy. You can do it sitting at the table, watching television, or lying in bed, and no one will notice. The benefits often show within weeks. Many men report fewer leaks when coughing or lifting, stronger control at the toilet, and less urgency at night. John noticed that after 2 months of steady practice, he no longer needed to wear a pad when going out with friends. His confidence returned, not because of a pill, but because he learned to use his own body more effectively. Pelvic floor training is a quiet discipline, but its impact is loud in the life of a man who wants dignity, freedom, and peace of mind. Up next, we will look at another overlooked step, not strength, but relaxation, because sometimes what restores balance is not tightening muscles, but learning how to let them go. Habit 3. Pelvic floor relaxation and stretching. Not every problem is solved by strength. George, a 69-year-old grandfather, followed his doctor's advice and began doing Kegel exercises every day. At first, he felt progress, but then something strange happened. His urgency grew worse. Instead of relief, he felt constant tightness in his lower body. The truth was simple. His pelvic floor was overworked and never given the chance to relax. The pelvic floor is like any other group of muscles. Imagine clenching your fist all day without ever opening it. Eventually, the hand would ache, stiffen, and lose its natural coordination. The same principle applies below. Years of sitting, driving, and carrying tension in the hips and lower back cause the pelvic floor to tighten. Without stretching and relaxation, contractions alone can make symptoms worse. That is why balance is key. Stretching the pelvic floor helps release chronic tension, improves blood flow, and prepares the bladder and prostate area for smoother function. One simple technique is the child's pose from yoga. Kneel on the floor, stretch your arms forward, and breathe deeply into your belly. As you inhale, imagine the pelvic muscles softening. Another option is lying on your back with knees bent, gently letting your knees fall outward to open the hips. These positions relax the muscles that wrap around the bladder and prostate. Breathing is equally important. Shallow chest breathing keeps tension locked in. Instead, practice slow, diaphragmatic breathing, expanding your abdomen as you inhale, then exhaling gently, releasing any tightness in the pelvic floor. Just 5 to 10 minutes each evening can prepare your body for restful sleep and reduce nighttime urges. George learned this balance the hard way. Once he added relaxation stretches before bed, his urgency decreased and the constant pressure eased. Within weeks, he found himself waking up fewer times at night, his body finally able to rest. The lesson is clear. Strengthening alone is not enough. Muscles need cycles of tension and release. By adding relaxation and stretching to your daily routine, you create harmony in the pelvic floor, supporting both bladder control and overall comfort. Now that we've explored strength and relaxation, let's move to another cornerstone, the role of diet. Because what you put on your plate each day quietly shapes the way your bladder and prostate behave. Habit 4. Adjusting diet for bladder and prostate health. When Alan, a 70-year-old retired accountant, first met Dr. Michael, he admitted something quietly. "I thought food didn't matter. I just ate what I liked." His daily menu was simple: coffee, pastries, soda, and plenty of red meat. But his bladder was restless, his nights were broken, and the dribble embarrassed him. The surprising truth is that what you put on your plate has as much influence on your bladder and prostate as any pill. The science is clear. Diets heavy in sugar, processed foods, and saturated fats increase inflammation throughout the body. The prostate, already sensitive with age, swells more easily under this pressure. At the same time, irritants such as caffeine, alcohol, and carbonated sodas overstimulate the bladder, making urges sharper and more frequent. This explains why many men have good days and bad days with their symptoms. Those fluctuations often mirror what they ate and drank. The first step is not perfection, but subtraction. Reducing sugar, hidden in desserts, sauces, and sodas, can calm inflammation. Cutting back on processed meats and salty snacks eases strain on both the prostate and the cardiovascular system. Instead, focus on adding balance. Vegetables, fruits rich in antioxidants, whole grains, and lean proteins such as fish or skinless poultry support healthier hormone function and reduce irritation. Lycopene, found in tomatoes and watermelon, has been linked in Harvard studies to better prostate health, while cruciferous vegetables like broccoli support natural detoxification. Allen committed to gradual changes. He replaced soda with water flavored by lemon slices, swapped pastries for oatmeal with berries, and began eating salads with olive oil. Within 3 months, his weight dropped slightly, his blood pressure improved, and most importantly, his nighttime bathroom trips decreased from 4 to 2. His wife told him he looked younger, but Allen said the real gift was waking up rested instead of exhausted. Diet is not about restriction. It is about giving your bladder and prostate a calmer environment. Small, consistent adjustments can lower inflammation, improve flow, and restore confidence. And when combined with hydration management, the results become even more powerful. That brings us to the next habit, learning how to drink wisely so your bladder stays calm without feeling deprived. Habit 5. Smart fluid management. For many men, the instinct when bladder problems appear is simple: drink less water. Frank, a 67-year-old former engineer, admitted he stopped drinking after lunchtime, hoping fewer fluids would mean fewer bathroom trips. Instead, his bladder became more irritable and the urges grew worse. The reason is clear. Dehydration concentrates urine, making it acidic and harsh on the bladder lining. Rather than solving the problem, it adds fuel to the fire. Smart fluid management is not about drinking less, but drinking right. Water should remain your main source of hydration. Spread it evenly throughout the day, aiming for smaller, regular sips instead of large gulps at once. Avoid drinking too much in the 2 hours before bedtime, giving your body a chance to process fluids before you sleep. This small change often reduces nighttime awakenings. As equally important is what to limit. Caffeine, found in coffee, tea, and sodas, acts as a bladder stimulant and diuretic, meaning it increases both urgency and volume. Alcohol has a similar effect, loosening control of the pelvic muscles while forcing the kidneys to produce more urine. Sugary sodas and energy drinks combine the worst of both worlds, caffeine and sugar that irritate the bladder and fuel inflammation. Health organizations like the National Institute on Aging recommend moderation rather than strict avoidance. For most men, 1 cup of coffee in the morning may be fine, but multiple cups throughout the day quickly add strain. Switching to herbal teas or simply plain water is a practical way to ease symptoms without feeling deprived. Frank learned this balance over time. By replacing his afternoon coffee with water and spacing his drinks evenly, he cut his nightly bathroom trips in half. He no longer feared long car rides or social gatherings. The shift wasn't dramatic, but it was life-changing. When you manage fluids wisely, you respect your bladder's rhythm rather than fight against it. And combined with the right exercise, the benefits multiply. That is why our next habit takes us into movement, the one tool that restores circulation, reduces pressure, and keeps your whole body, including your prostate, in balance. Habit 6. Exercise and weight management. When Charles turned 72, he noticed that every extra pound around his waist seemed to press directly on his bladder. He was visiting the bathroom more often, his stream was weaker, and even short walks left him winded. What he didn't realize was that excess abdominal fat was adding constant pressure on both his bladder and prostate. Carrying extra weight also increases inflammation throughout the body, making urinary symptoms worse. Exercise is one of the most powerful tools to reverse this cycle. It improves circulation, reduces inflammation, balances hormones, and strengthens the very muscles that support bladder control. Studies from the Harvard School of Public Health show that men who maintain an active lifestyle have significantly fewer urinary symptoms than those who remain sedentary. A balanced routine includes both aerobic activity and strength training. Aerobic exercises, such as brisk walking, swimming, cycling, or even dancing, help keep the heart and bladder in sync, encouraging better blood flow to the pelvic region. Just 30 minutes, 5 days a week, can bring noticeable improvement. Strength training, whether with light weights or body weight exercises, builds stability and reduces abdominal fat that presses on the bladder. For older men, the goal is not intensity, but consistency. Simple routines, walking after meals, climbing stairs, or doing chair squats, can transform bladder health over time. Combined with dietary changes, even modest weight loss around the midsection can dramatically reduce urgency and leakage. Charles started small, walking 10 minutes after dinner and doing light resistance band exercises 3 times a week. Within 3 months, he lost 12 pounds, slept longer through the night, and felt steady enough to play with his grandchildren without worry. His bladder symptoms eased not because of a miracle drug, but because his body was moving the way it was meant to. Exercise and weight management do not just protect the bladder. They restore dignity, energy, and freedom. And when paired with the other 5 habits, they form a foundation of daily care that helps men over 60 feel stronger and more in control. Now that we've covered the 6 habits, let's take a closer look at the supportive role of natural supplements and how they can complement but never replace these lifestyle changes. Supplements for bladder and prostate health. For many men, lifestyle changes alone can bring major relief. Still, some may look for extra support, and that is where natural supplements enter the picture. These are not magic pills, but when chosen wisely, they can complement healthy habits and ease the strain on the bladder and prostate. One of the most widely studied options is saw palmetto. This small berry extract has been shown in several clinical trials to reduce urinary symptoms in men with benign prostatic hyperplasia. It works by helping to balance hormones that influence prostate growth, though results vary from person to person. Another valuable nutrient is lycopene, the red pigment found in tomatoes, watermelon, and pink grapefruit. Research from Harvard suggests that diets rich in lycopene are linked to healthier prostates and a lower risk of enlargement. Supplements can provide an additional boost, but food sources remain the safest and most reliable. Zinc also plays an important role. The prostate contains more zinc than almost any other organ in the body, and adequate intake supports tissue repair and immune health. Men with low zinc levels often report more urinary problems, making supplementation or zinc-rich foods like pumpkin seeds and seafood worth considering. Finally, beta-sitosterol, a plant compound found in nuts, seeds, and some herbal blends, has been shown to improve urinary flow and reduce the sensation of incomplete emptying. Unlike prescription drugs, it does not shrink the prostate, but it helps the bladder work more efficiently. The key is caution. Supplements are not regulated as strictly as medications, and quality varies widely between brands. Before starting any new supplement, it is best to consult with a healthcare provider to ensure safety and avoid interactions with other treatments. For men willing to combine supplements with daily habits, such as double voiding, pelvic floor training, and smart fluid management, the results can be encouraging. They offer an added layer of support, not a replacement for discipline. With supplements in mind, the next step is learning how to turn these habits into a steady routine, because true change comes not in days, but in months of consistent care. A 4 to 6 month self-care roadmap. Change does not happen overnight. For most men over 60, bladder and prostate symptoms are the result of years of gradual change. That is why the path to improvement must also be steady, measured, and consistent. A 4 to 6 month roadmap provides enough time for the body to adapt and for habits to take root. Month 1. Awareness and baseline. Begin by tracking your daily routine. Write down what you eat, what you drink, and how often you visit the bathroom. Record nighttime trips and episodes of leakage. This simple log gives you a clear starting point and highlights patterns you might otherwise miss. Month 2. Introduce core habits. Start practicing double voiding with every bathroom visit. Add gentle pelvic floor exercises 3 times a day and begin evening stretches to relax tension. Adjust your diet gradually, less sugar, fewer processed foods, and more vegetables. Month 3. Refine fluids and movement. Focus on smart hydration, steady water intake during the day, limited fluids before bed, and reduced caffeine and alcohol. Add regular walks or aerobic activity 3 days a week, plus light resistance training twice a week. By now, many men notice fewer night trips and better control. Months 4 to 6. Build consistency and evaluate. Continue all 6 habits, adding supplements if needed after consulting a doctor. Revisit your log weekly to track progress. Look for reduced dribbling, fewer sudden urges, and longer periods of uninterrupted sleep. Small victories build confidence and motivation. By the end of 6 months, you may not erase every symptom, but you can transform how you feel and function each day. The roadmap is not a quick fix, but a lifestyle reset that protects dignity and independence. Next, let us gather these lessons into a final message of encouragement, a reminder that no man needs to walk this journey alone. As we reach the end of this journey, take a moment to see the bigger picture. Bladder leaks, urgency, and weak flow are not signs of failure. They are reminders that your body is changing and asking for new care. After 60, dignity and independence remain possible, but they depend on daily choices. We have explored 6 simple yet powerful habits: emptying the bladder more completely with double voiding, strengthening the pelvic floor, relaxing through evening stretches, adjusting diet to reduce irritation, managing fluids wisely, and moving your body to keep weight under control. None of these habits require expensive treatments, and none demand perfection. They ask only for consistency and patience. Even supplements, when used carefully, can provide support, but the foundation will always be your lifestyle. Over 4 to 6 months, small steps become new rhythms. The result is not just fewer bathroom trips or less dribbling, it is deeper sleep, stronger confidence, and the quiet joy of knowing you are still in control. Remember, you are not alone. Millions of men share this struggle, yet too many suffer in silence. By speaking openly, by practicing these habits, and by encouraging each other, we create a community where health after 60 is not about decline, but about renewal. Your body is resilient. With care, it responds. With patience, it heals. And with persistence, it rewards you with freedom to sleep, to laugh, to travel, and to live without constant worry. If this message touched you, take the next step. Subscribe now and join a community of men choosing strength over silence. Share in the comments which habit you will begin today, and inspire others to start as well. Together, we can turn aging into a chapter of vitality, dignity, and freedom.